So that brings us to our third match of the day. It's going to be Hunterace taking on SilverName in this one. And getting a look at the way the lineups pan out, it means SilverName's Paladin is going to be in play. Quest Paladin, making some mummies. I want to see how it pans out, because this is one that in the first series he played versus Swids, it actually drew a ban. And I thought that was super interesting, because against Swids specifically, it made a lot of sense, I think, for him to get rid of that deck, because it's just a long-term grind your opponent into dust style of game plan that he had in play.
Hold on! 2.1% of players have picked Quest Paladin in Grandmasters? What have I missed? It has to be APAC. I blame APAC. That has to be a thing.
Something about this feels wrong, because it says 1.6 Bomb Warrior. Is it that unpopular?
I guess, like you're saying, it's not popularity or unpopularity. The players who have brought Quest Paladin have really wanted to play Quest Paladin, so it's been picked.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. I think APAC is the region that we do not get to watch a great deal of, because it's happening just as we're waking up, but they are known here and there for some wacky control decks. So I'm putting the blame squarely on APAC for that one.
I don't think that this is a control deck. This is
also
strange aggro
point.
deck.
Yes, okay. I will... Weird late game decks, let's put it that way.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Strange aggro deck with lots of late game.
Yeah.
Potential. Late game potential. Lots of late game potential. It's a strange deck. I have played a lot of variants of it. I'm excited to see it in play here. And for Hunterace, we're getting a look at just the good old good stuff. Holy Wrath Paladin, to me, has looked like a force. I've heard some talk in America's interviews where it's like people who are good with this deck are extremely good, and it feels like they always win. If you make any minor errors with the deck, it can just crumble to pieces instantaneously. I think it's a very high skill cap deck with a pretty big reward tacked on if you can manage it properly.
So what you're saying is when you put Hunterace on it, it should go pretty well.
Yeah, usually. I would tend to call that the case.
There's always that deck in the metagame, right? Like, was it Patron Warrior back in the day, Freeze Mage, Miracle Rogue, whatever it was. There's always that one deck that, even if it's not the most popular deck in the metagame, there's always that group of players that says, no, this deck is the nuts. You guys all just suck at playing it. If you play it correctly, it just wins every matchup. Like, there's always that one deck.
Yeah, well, this is one of those matchups where I think, it's again, that test that we're looking for is how favored is one side or the other. Zephyrus always comes in a big factor. This one, Hunterace immediately draws Prismatic Lens, and I think an extremely welcome sight given the hand that he had on the open. This deck has a ton of card draw in it with Holy Wrath Paladin. It's what you're looking for, and the card draw begets card draw. And so for me, the big story is going to be on SilverName's side. With Bomb Warrior, how quickly can he get bombs into the deck? How can he set up the pressure so that it makes the most sense going into Hunterace's card draw? And then the last point of that is going to be, can he potentially amass enough armor that he can offset all of those factors?
Yeah, and that's the big kicker this time around, is that the majority of the time in Season 2 Grandmasters, we've been talking about this dynamic of Holy Wrath Paladin versus Control Warrior, where the big kickers are just, are there weapons projects to shut down the True Silvers? How well can the players play to engineer True Silvers connecting to face or not connecting to face, depending on who's interested in doing what? Bomb Warrior, very different equation, because they have this whole extra branch on the decision tree where they can say, well, I'm just going to kill him. Like, forget about outlasting his damage. This guy's going to draw his whole deck, and I'm going to fill it up with bombs.
It's a scary prospect from the Paladin side. I have been under threat of that a number of times. It feels like every single time I play Holy Wrath Paladin, it's just like,
move quickly.
Oh, quickly! Admiral's playing Holy Wrath Paladin. Everyone cue Bomb Warrior on ladder.
Yeah, I get that memo. I'm subscribed to that alert. 3-2 on curve.
This is a common scenario that I found from Hunterace's side too, and I feel extremely smart seeing this reinforced. Is I queued into about 3 Bomb Warriors, lost every single one of the matches, then went, I'm just going to jam my stuff. I just went full TJ on him. And I'll tell you what, it works pretty darn well.
I could definitely 100% get on board with it if his intention was just trading into this, exactly, Alec. But to do so, I guess he does still enable that happening, but he has to use the Subdue to do so.
This is literally how I found this working.
Yeah, this is fair enough, actually.
Let me think.
I'm sold.
I do think that with the call on curve, with Subdue in hand, and with a prismatic lens, I think that there is a lot of merits to taking it a number of different directions. I would tend to be on Subdue here because Wrench Caliber is the nightmare if you don't take care of this Alec. Like, it is about as bad as a possibility that I can imagine for almost any matchup if you don't take care of this right now.
Right.
Wrench Caliber would just be too devastating. Paramount.
Can hold me.
Yeah, as is, Restless Mummy is about the best thing that SilverName has going for him in that spot. Wrench Caliber still would have been fairly effective, but the extra development on board works out pretty well.
Yeah, kind of a rare spot that I think Mummy is just a better card. Another big upside to having the prismatic lens early is that you cannot draw bombs off the prismatic lens. That is like one of the worst things that happens.
Novice Engineer for 1, Crystology for 2 is about the dream outcome. Just plenty of cheap things to do to keep drawing some cards, but he is going to have to remove some of this damage from board at some point. Does look like a pretty good Thakol turn, though.
Good old spider tank.
Yep. It is functional healing in a sense, in that you start to take a bunch of this damage into armor and then still have the ability to heal up health afterward.
Also, there's going to be some heat in this game.
Yeah. Nothing else you can really do about it this turn, though. He's going to be under pressure no matter what he did, and this really contests the board better than anything else he can do anyway.
God, SilverName's inclusion of the Azalina, too, actually might be a big impact here, because number one, he gets to steal timeout sometimes. That could be major implications. Number two, from Hunterace's side, he's just stealing a bunch of card draw. Like, when on earth does this deck ever have card draw on the Bomb Warrior side? Like, it's just not something it does. Like, I'm curious how impactful the Azalina could be. This is something I haven't encountered, and as I'm starting to think about the late game scenarios, like a lot of that tells me that that card could be a major difference.
I'm already on a couple of thoughts that you didn't even bring up as well. It's like you can steal the Shivala, which would retain the buff because that's how Azalina works now, right? And then use that to pull out of range of the damage burst from the other side.
This is kind of crazy.
Yeah, Azalina could have massive impacts here for sure. What's having massive impacts currently is SilverName's minions with Hunterace's face, and that's what he needs to do something about before he gets into any of this Azalina nonsense.
Yeah, I just typically expect you to not be able to deliver a killing blow early on. It's like the bomb pressure.
Yeah.
That's why this damage matters.
Yep. But if Hunterace is just going to draw literally 0 removal the entire game.
Oh, he's got a Shrink Ray.
That's not removal.
It's not removal, but I mean, it's taking a lot of damage off board.
Yeah.
You know, from 12 to 4 is I'd call that removal.
But they're all still there, Admirable.
Yeah, but they're like little baby versions now.
Ah, okay.
Like the Omega Assembly, look for Magnetic. Or Clockwork Goblin, that one's in your deck. So the intention for SilverName is going to be to jam all the cards that are threats, and then if you end up drawing useless stuff like Brawl, get rid of it.
Yep. Sounds about right to me.
Like that he's debating the trades here.
What impact do they make?
Connect to face.
Allowing Hunterace to connect to face and then just drop a board clear? I think
it's something that you really need to think about.
Okay. Protects a 4/5 as well if like that was a 2-turn setup from Hunterace for like Consecration or whatever, and then you can potentially protect a 4/5 from like Pyroconch or something on the other side.
What card did you say again? I'm sorry, what was it? Well, Blood Mage Consecration as well.
Yeah, same thing. Pyroconch, Blood Mage.
Ah, the difference in those trades. It makes such a difference. maybe you just go half and half. Like you kill one of them and you, oh gosh.
Oh, I like that actually. Yeah, kill one, go face with the other. That makes sense.
Either way, deal with these.
Yep.
SilverName keeping the pressure high. The damage that he pushed, it was not irrelevant though. If you look at the 2/2 Mordens representing dropping Hunterace to 10, I think that's likely where SilverName landed was, you know, this stuff gets cleared, I get to hit for 6. Okay, that's a break point.
Right. I think Hunterace might need to be in the business of getting this Shivala nice and cheap as soon as possible. Maybe this is even a timeout turn. It's so scary to use timeout in a situation like this because timeout's so good in spots where you can like time out and then start ripping card draw on your own turn to try and detonate some bombs and take no damage.
That's what he's thinking about, right? Timeout Prismatic Lens because it draws specifically a spell.
Yep.
Move quickly.
He's going to try to draw him naturally.
You like my invention?
Such a slow draw for Hunterace here. Turn 9, there's still 13 cards remaining in his deck.
This place is scary.
That Reg Caliber is insane. I am absolutely getting the bombs in the deck right now.
Somebody order a bomb.
I don't think you want to attack the Acolyte here. And the reason being is you don't want that card draw to funnel into the Acolyte while the timeout's there.
Yep. No, that's smart.
Bomb drawn. Payoff.
I guess technically Hunterace has 10 cards remaining in his deck, being that 3 of them are still bombs at this point, but that's still a pretty slow draw for a Holy Wrath Paladin.
I don't know if this has been slow. He's drawn cards almost every turn of the game except for the first 3.
I wonder.
Like he.
That's a lot of turns to not draw cards.
It is, but that's gonna, like, if your opening draw is Prismatic Lens, you know, that's very normal, I think.
I mean, it means no Christology, no Novice Engineer, no Acolyte of Pain if you haven't drawn any cards in your first 3 turns. That's
play Novice Engineer. It doesn't kill the Terrarium Rover. Doesn't kill the Town Crier.
It's like he didn't have those cards available. It was a slow draw.
Yeah, I'm just saying the damage adds up on the other side too. Like you had something to contest, and I think that's the important part. He'd just be dead if he didn't have anything. I think if he just drawn a lot of cards, he could be dead too. It's just tough. Yep. This is just a tough. This is the hard variant of Warrior that you really face.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and if that's not a sign of how tough it is, I don't know what is. And that means for SilverName, he does not get that Dream Azalina turn. Does get a pretty Dream Blastmaster turn, perhaps, but right now I'm staring at a Shivala.
It's a Shivala that he cannot kill right now without healing for 14.
You also would take 7.
What now?
Also extremely important.
Just a casual 21-point life swing. What option you got, though?
I wonder.
Very little.
Maybe just move in.
I don't see any other play.
I must choose. I wonder.
Force the card draw. You're like, you draw these bombs.
Ooh, timeout number 2 is so huge. If he can find card draw to go along with this turn and not die.
Step 1, don't die. First bomb. Second bomb.
Okay, he's alive.
This damage wants to go face. Timeout, equality. Oh, you can't do both of those because the Pyro's at 1.
Let me think.
You're either going to take the Boombot damage,
Yep.
or your equality just...
Doesn't kill the 7/7.
Oh, boy.
I mean, you have the Shivala to kill the 7/7. You just don't get to push the damage, which is very relevant in itself, but not as catastrophic as not being able to do one of those two things.
Yeah, I was just looking at 7 damage missed.
Yep.
Like one of the bankers is already gone, so the Zephyrus is gone too, so this damage is super relevant.
Yep.
Get the minions out of the deck.
So Smith Kangor. I think this point's in play this turn.
One shot.
Oh, that's something else to talk about too, actually. No, it's not something to talk about. You couldn't get the Kangor first. That was impossible.
Same problem with the Pyro, right?
Make a defender.
Sometimes like, eh. All right.
I'll
Your cards.
I'll take the extra cards.
So spells in SilverName's deck? Oh, sorry, cards in SilverName's deck, I should say. I don't know why I went to spells. He still has his Dr. Boom in there.
Oh, you're thinking about the damage from Holy Wrath. I was like,
Yep.
you can't draw Dr. Boom off a Prismatic Lens.
Yep.
That's why I thought you went to spells, was that.
That would be the ultimate BM from Dr. Boom. What if it,
You
like,
could Prismatic Lens the Omega Assembly.
you
though.
could.
Or
But what if
Megadillo.
Hunterace was at 8 or 9 and SilverName gets lethal with Holy Wrath just because Dr. Boom was nerfed?
Well, I think that the deviation in game plan here is the really big deal. So Hunter is connecting for this extra 3, I think is major. Like, I actually think that SilverName had a pretty big chance to backpedal this and play for some defense and
Just
say,
play the taunts instead and just not take the damage.
Like, I think that may have been a critical point in the game.
All bombs removed from Hunterace's deck now. So this 20 health currently is a legitimate 20 health.
And he doesn't have a way to stop this damage. If you go with the taunts, you know you're going to find equality on the other side. That cuts some of the damage.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Hunterace is just at 22 with what SilverName can see here with the 20 plus the Kangor. So he would need 2 cards that dealt 19. Those don't exist in his deck.
I'm almost out of
Holy Wrath would be pretty good in Warrior.
Sure.
I think Hunterace has found the stabilizing point, though.
Last card, Baleful Banker.
Like, just look at how much damage he ships face. Like, SilverName can't protect against that.
Yep. The healing as well.
I wonder.
No shield blocks to the deck for SilverName. I think it's becoming a more standard thing for Bomb Warrior. You cut shield slams, you cut shield blocks, you move in towards more aggression.
So the fear from Hunterace's side is just the breakpoints of what bombs can do to him, if anything, if he leaves the 3/3 on board versus taking it off. So in that case, if there's no shield block, he has to take SilverName down to 18, would play around just Dr. Boom, which you can't play around Dr. Boom plus Blast Shield.
Well, you can't blast shield with Dr. Boom anymore.
Oh, quickly, what am I talking about? All right, so yeah, 18 is just a number. That's all you
Yeah.
need, right? I was just talking about it winning off Holy Wrath because it got nerfed. I was like, oh, just, yeah, hero power with it. That seems fine.
Reporting for duty.
That's game.
Wow, Hunterace digs himself out of another dire-looking situation.
I'm out of cards.
And that Baleful Banker on the last card is going to shuffle that Shivala back in. SilverName's going to take 25. Hunterace is going to continue the streak, 1 game away from a 13-match winning run through the best players the world has to offer.
And honestly, I think SilverName did a lot of things right in that game. Like, I loved the way that he played that. I think at the end, him swapping to defense was a fleeting thought, because I don't think it changes anything in that situation. The one thing it would change is if there's still an equality buried into Hunterace's deck. That's about it. In all of the situations, the taunts fail because damage is still connecting, and you haven't done anything to try and make progress on that. So then he's still like miles away on the damage race, and he's miles away on the defense part because of the way that Bomb Warrior needs to be built now. Like the lack of shield blocks, you're not getting to the armor total necessary to defend it. It would be fending off the chip damage and hitting the hero power over and over again. So equality being buried is the only way that that line works.
Well, before we go to a break, let me just flip that question on you and ask, what, in that situation, which cards is he looking for from Hunterace that would have an impact on the game with an Azalina overplaying the taunts himself?
Thinking timeout is a big one.
Didn't already both get played
No,
by that
there
point?
was... I think you're right. Actually,
yeah, the first one was played early. The second one was played in response to the Blastmaster Boom turn.
So then that leads me to think that probably like Crystal Smith Kangor Flashlight is what you're hunting for.
Okay.
I just don't see what the taunts are going to do.
I can get on board with that.
Like, I think you're just dead with the taunts in that spot.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really have to be a good answer because I think he was in a difficult position. If it was any answer, then I can get the justification of playing Azalina.
Honestly, like, I just don't get to see a lot of SilverName play outside of Grandmasters. Just loving what I see. He plays good.
He's fun.
I think aside from a couple of the lineup choices that I've seen so far, he's been one of the stronger ones.
I totally get why. Obviously, we're not viewers of his stream because he doesn't stream in a language that we understand, but I understand why he got so popular. Like, he seems very good at the game, and he seems incredibly entertaining to watch, even when we don't understand what he's saying.
Indeed.
So, yeah, I get it.
Oh, got to go to a quick break. When we come back, though, we're jumping into game number 2 of this set. Hunterace looking to still continue the massive streak that he's been on. SilverName looking to secure himself an even better record. Stay tuned.
Darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tombs, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. But this league's gonna save the world.
My real name is Jaromír Vyskočil, my in-game name is Jarla, and I'm playing for Team Nordawind. When I got the email about that I'm in Grandmasters, I was really happy because I have been in competitive Hearthstone for 2 years and few months, and this is something special, competing against the best players in Europe. I like control decks, and I always play really slow. Some people can hate that I really often end up roping the turn. Sometimes I also overthink stuff, so it sometimes could affect my decision in the end. But yeah, I'm mostly slow and control player. My hobbies outside of Hearthstone, I enjoy running, I enjoy playing football or ice hockey with friends. My goal for Grandmasters is probably avoid relegation, but I would like to win as well.
My real name is Ling Nguyen, and my gamertag is Psycho. My username actually has no meaning. When I start playing, I try to find a name and that was available. My favorite esports memory in Hearthstone is probably winning the Nationals, because that's the first tournament I won. And I hope I can win some more this year. I don't think my play is that unique, because I feel like there's almost only one play every time. I actually have no hobbies anymore, because Hearthstone just took too much time that I just stopped any other hobbies. I was about to finish my bachelor, but then I started Hearthstone, and now I'm back and trying to finish it. I think it will be really hard to balance study and Grandmasters. Maybe I just skip the exams again. Hearthstone is for sure a higher priority right now. My personal goal this year will be to get to the Grandmasters finals and maybe to win it.
Second day of Hearthstone Grandmasters this week for the European region, and we are amidst our third match of the day with Hunterace taking on SilverName in this one. I'm Nathan, that's Admirable Zamora. I'm joined by Simon Sottle Welch.
Hi.
Right now, Hunterace is up a game with his Holy Wrath Paladin, and SilverName's, he's got to go back to the drawing board in this one. I'm hoping that he picks up a win here because I really hope that making Mummy's Paladin can come into the mix.
That didn't make you laugh for like 2 weeks. I was going to give up on it, but we're back, baby. We got you.
Honestly, I've been trying to override it because I was bad at hosting at one point, and now I feel like I'm mediocre at hosting, so I'm trying to get above that hump.
All right, well, let's do what a good host should do and talk about the game that's about to happen, because it is a very, very exciting one indeed. Hunterace is going to be coming out on that Priest. SilverName has the slightly less unusual of the two unusual decks remaining, but it is still a pretty uncommon one these days in Grandmasters with the Highlander Hunter. As I mentioned, Frodown was talking about how I think it's even less common in Americas than it is for us in Europe, but how he was picking it as like his go-to deck for the week and really like slamming it and saying that this was the bring this week, which is interesting to me because it's very juxtaposed with you saying, I think you said it today as well, but certainly yesterday you were saying that you didn't have a lot of faith in the Highlander Hunter.
There's not a lot of Highlander decks that I do have faith in.
I'm kind of right there with you, to be honest.
There are Highlander decks that I will speak highly of.
Okay.
Hunter is not one of them for me because I feel like Hunter is one of those decks that it wants to do the same thing all the time. It's like play a thing, blow up your thing, keep attacking you.
Mm-hmm.
You get some really powerful stuff with Dino Tamer Brand in this deck, though. I don't know. It's really tough to pass up that card.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a long holdout the last time we had the Reno meta of just not wanting to play those decks. Even when like Reno Warlock was just so clearly powerful.
This is just a dream start.
It is.
For SilverName here.
The fact that
Snipe
the secret
so good.
is exactly the snipe as well. Yeah, it's a huge deal. Hunterace does just have the Coin Psycho Pump next turn, though. And that is a big deal, too. I think one way or the other, that Tol'vir dying, Hunterace is okay with. He would just like to not be taking the damage in the process.
Yeah. Like the Hunter's Pack, try to set up. Just staring at a second Eagle Horn Bow. I'm like, yeah, not.
Yeah, it's probably not getting played anytime soon.
I mean, you're only 4 turns away minimum from it finding its, full potential.
Yeah. One Eagle Horn Bow is very often infinite in this deck.
So I guess the question here would be over the High Priest or the Psycho Pomp, right?
Yes. Yes, it would.
Which one and why?
So let's consider various options that SilverName would have to contest the Armet on his side. Whether that's even a bad thing for Hunterace, because if you play your Armet and you just lose it here and you lose additional tempo, I think that's a problem. However, you could argue that the upside is then the Armet then goes into your Psycho Pump possibilities.
I mean, the contest point is like quite minimal. It's like Zephyrus, or it's like something to deal damage +1, or Deadly Shot. However, the Armet's now in the pool for Psycho Pump.
Yes, which is definitely an argument. I think personally in this match, like the consistency of just a 2/6 taunt with Reborn is pretty solid. But you're right, there weren't too many punishes there. Deadly Shot was one of them. It's a one of course. It's the nature of the Highlander deck. And then there was like, what, one drop kill command, which I guess you would have seen minions come out anyway.
Again, like Animal Companion into the right one
Yeah.
drop. Like, the answers were just quite thin, is kind of what it boiled down to. And for Hunterace, facing down the Masked Contender, we have seen him over and over again just really struggle on the secrets here. And without looking at the secrets, I want to know what happens in this spot. Like, I actually don't want the spectator to show the secret. I don't want to know what it is. I want y'all to guess how you play in this situation. You know that the center one is Snake Trap. What is the mystery one? Your options are Rat Trap, Pressure Plate, Freezing Trap, and there you have it.
You
Good luck.
I mean, you have to play around Pressure Plate. I think Freezing is the one that's free to play around here. Attacking for 2 with this armor is not massively important, so you can just kind of get away with it. But I think playing around Pressure Plate is the sensible thing to do here. And just load up minions as best you can on the board.
And
Deal
you
with it next
naturally
turn.
play around the Freezing Trap by just saying, why would I attack with this Ahmed? It's so valuable.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, now we can reveal it if everyone wants to.
It's Freezing Trap. I'd already checked before Admirable was like, hey, don't check. I'm like, I've done it already. What do you want from me?
Subtle's like, ooh, information that I don't have.
Yeah.
Let me find out what it is.
Yep.
Ooh. I couldn't tell you what that fetches right now.
Master Spell.
You always think it fetches Match the Spell, and it just feels like it never does, except for when there's like a Doomsayer and 7 minions. It's like, yeah, Match the Spell. Hex.
Whoa!
It hates Match the Spell.
It really does, yeah. Things I'm learning.
Hex is pretty darn good, though.
Hex is pretty solid, yeah. That one, I think you could have a legitimate grievance over, though. You kill a Death Rattle functionality with a Reborn and take 10, well, no, what, 5?
Does it account for the secrets you have in play?
No, I don't believe so. Would that matter? You're thinking the Freezing Trap is relevant?
It's like looking at Freezing Trap and you're like, let him attack.
Right.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Yeah, this is kind of a beating now for Hunterace. That's a ton of damage on the other side of the board.
It is tough to state how important Masked Contender is to this Highlander Hunter deck. But I think that play right there demonstrates how important of a card that was this game.
That's huge. It was kind of the one downside of his secret being exactly Snipe. Well, there are 2 downsides. One, it just kind of set a Hunterace up for the Psycho Pump curve naturally. Secondly, because it was Snipe, it was a secret that got removed on turn 2, which means he couldn't curved into Masked Contender on turn 3.
Quickly.
And just set it up later in the game. Oh! Oh,
Whoa.
the Pyro is enormous here. Injured Blade Master, Circle of Healing, Inner Fire. Goodbye, 90% of SilverName's board.
Whoa.
No Inner Fire, leaves up a 3-1. To protect his win condition with Divine Spirit in hand, very reasonable. Think personally I'd want to kill this 3-1 and replace it with a 6-6, well 6-5 I guess after the Pyro proc of my own.
Perhaps the 1 damage opens you up to Unleash the Beast. Like I'm seeing Unleash the Beast get drawn. I wonder if that was on his mind.
Sure. I mean, you do lose your Pyro for the cost of it as well, so you're a 3-1 down on board and you do soften up your minions into Unleash the Beast.
I want to take back my statement. Of course it was on Hunterace's mind. How much did that play into what he did?
Everything is on Hunterace's mind, constantly. It must be exhausting.
How do you pick breakfast?
You just skip it. You know how many games of Hearthstone you could play instead of making breakfast?
He's like, screw it. I'll just eat ice cream.
Yeah.
Quickly. Bow to the fang and claw.
I was tempted to say this with a very thick Italian accent. I opted against it.
Wait, say... What?
Halazzi!
Yeah,
It just sounds like an Italian term.
your instinct not to do that was correct.
Are you mocking my Italian heritage? Is that what you're doing now?
I thought you had Mexican heritage. You have
I
Italian
also
heritage?
do,
as
yeah.
well? Really?
My grandma was from Sicily.
Oh, wow. What an educational stream this has become.
I've tried for years to duplicate the meatballs that she made. It is just impossible.
Is it time for Hunterace to flip the switch, start getting aggressive with it?
Well, what's aggressive, I guess?
Well, aggressive starts at Inner Fire and ends at Divine Spirit Inner Fire.
Okay, I'm pretty interested in drawing some cards.
You've seen the Deadly Shot, so if this thing is going to die, it's going to die to damage being thrown into it anyway, until Zul'jin comes down. That's like the first time this can get Deadly Shot again.
I guess I'm interested in drawing cards and killing things. That makes a lot of sense to me because this pulls the minion off the board.
Yeah.
You don't need the Inner Fire because you have the Divinus, because you have the Topsy-Turvy for it.
Yeah.
And so this is aggressive as you get.
This is looking like number 13. More and more with each passing turn. SilverName needs to find a way to swing back onto this board.
I'm not convinced yet. I think that SilverName's in an okay spot. I don't think it's a great spot, but you know, I'm thinking of obviously the big bad card that he's got at the top end that costs 10 mana.
Yep.
I'm seeing some draws that make a big impact too. You know, Dino Tamer Brand is big. Siamat, I think, is pretty big. The options do start to get quite thin after that, though. So step 1, clean up board position. Step 2, don't die.
He failed on the don't die part. That is 30. 14,
Wow.
28, flip it, 28 plus 2.
What in the world? I mean, I very casually said step 1, don't die. Like,
Hey, that is never a casual proposition when you are playing against Priest. Not dying on any given turn is a real threat. Hunterace with the perfect draw finds the win on Priest, as he has been doing with this Bwomsamdi Priest for just a week longer than everyone else because he was on it before. And that is win number 13 straight in league play for Hunterace.
it's just enormous. Just like the draw was. I mean, 1 in 16, I just said, don't die. Don't die.
It was not that simple, though. Like, there was a 5-1 on board that was already contested on the opposing side. Hunterace could have just drawn a minion and played it and kept pushing, and the situation was the same on the next turn. SilverName needed to fill 2 to 3 turns to get to turn 10, and in those 2 to 3 turns, find the Zul'jin. His other draw would be like Dino Tamer Bran, just to have a big removal spell in the form of King Crush to smash into something and take it off the board. But even without that immediate top deck, SilverName was still multiple turns away from stabilizing, and in those multiple turns, Hunterace can find Bwomsamdi, he can find Cleric, he can find all of these various things that still snowball the game and end up in the same place.
Yeah, I think it was clear advantage to Hunterace with some fight in SilverName's side if he found the right cards. So let's have an interview with the world champion. Hunterace, can you hear us?
Hey, yes, I can hear you guys.
Dude, you got to save some wins for other people. This is 13 match wins in regular season play now.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening anymore. I felt like I was going into a loss today. I lost the key ordering again, and then still just 2-0, you know?
Well, talk to me about that,
that.
because I'm certain there's a lot more thoughts that go into it other than you lost the queue order and you thought you were unfavored. Talk to me about the specifics of that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different stuff that goes into the pick and ban phase. I wasn't 100% sure what he was going to protect to begin with. I thought that both the warrior and the druid was pretty reasonable protects for him. And in the scenario we ended up in, I have my paladin and my priest as basically my 2 only playable decks. My warrior has like 0% in every matchup. So I have to get a win with those 2. And it begins with me having to queue either priest or paladin first. And I really want to hit my paladin into the hunter or the paladin. So I kind of thought that he would queue those because, I don't know, I did some research and yeah, it just made a bit more sense for him. So then he ended up queuing the warrior. So it's not even that bad of a matchup, to be honest, but it's pretty bad for me in terms of the series because the paladin is super good in the 2 other matchups.
Okay, well that answers the question I was going to have after that, was what made the warrior so bad, but the making mummies paladin is, you know.
It's pretty miserable.
Yeah.
So I want to ask about Azalina in particular in his warrior deck. Like in your testing, did you find that have a big impact on the matchup? Did he ever steal anything super relevant from your side of the board?
Well, you have to be a bit cautious because he can end up stealing Flash of Lights and timeouts. So I just basically try to dump my hand of everything valuable and just play like a tempo game plan because the way with his specific word list, the way it works is that a lot of the time you just run out of stuff because he doesn't run any form of card draw, and his deck is very inconsistent because of that. So even like a legit game plan in that matchup is just to tempo him and actually get tempo Shivala out and Shivala just hitting him multiple times. So I tried to just play aggressive and not die, and I felt I was fine.
Yeah, the game plan clearly worked. Like there was that turn where you had Shivala on board and he just had no way to kill it without healing you for 16 and taking 7 himself or whatever. So I could definitely see it working.
What I want to ask a question about the making mummies paladin. You know, you talked about how your warrior was bad into it. Where do you think that deck sits right now? I think that's one of the cooler decks that's out there right now, but I have had just this deck's a mystery to me on how good or bad
I don't
it
think
might
that I don't think that deck is very good. I think my warrior was probably my only deck that had a chance of losing to it. I think all my other decks were very favorable versus it. My warrior is basically concede warrior, so if my opponent actually has a win condition, I lose. So yeah, I was a bit afraid of. I was a bit like I just couldn't queue my warrior, so I didn't think it would queue the paladin either. I think it would always end up with my paladin and my priest versus his hunter and his warrior. But I mean, on that side, I have the priest, right? So it's pretty favored for me most of the time.
Anything else?
All good.
All right. Well, Hunterace, thank you very much for your time. 13-0, I think, speaks for itself. I don't think it really needs much elaboration on how impressive that has been. Congratulations on your win, and I'm looking forward to seeing you play next week.
All right, thank you guys.